What is fear? Fear is a natural, powerful, and primitive human emotion. It involves universal biochemical response as well as a high individual emotional response. Fear alerts us to the presence of danger or the threat of harm, whether that danger is physical or psychological. Sometimes fear stems from real threats, but it can also originate from imagined dangers. Fear can also be a symptom of some mental health conditions, including panic disorder, social anxiety disorder, phobias, and post-traumatic stress disorder. Fear is composed of two primary reactions to some type of perceived threat: biochemical and emotional. This is
Man vs. Mood.
What's up, gentlemen?
Not much.
How we doing?
Fantastic.
It's sunny out today, so
It's sunny. Gary just rolled in like a ball of fire with that gigantic zero on his forehead.
It's actually an O.
Oh, it's a zero.
Yeah.
Zero.
I think it's
go.
Oregon. Oh no, we have no national titles.
No.
No, you just wear it because it matches your gear.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, right. As we get started on this wonderful, beautiful, sunny afternoon, let's get into something that we are feeling blessed about. Gary, you're on my left, so you get to go first.
I am blessed. The sun is out. I'm blessed. The Blazers are losing.
I don't know that that's a blessing so
It
much
is if
as
you want a high draft pick.
Yeah.
but they won't get it. Let's be honest. They're going to get 16 fucking lottery balls, and they're going to pick 16th.
And yeah. And
I mean, it's the most asinine. Why are we flipping coins for draft picks in the NBA when they should be just like every other professional sport league does, and it goes by
Record.
I just, for the life of me, I can't get it.
Okay.
Other than they want it
This
fixed.
is what we're grateful for, so you're detracting.
Yeah, right? I'm sorry.
so I'm grateful for losing.
Don't be negative, Gary.
And I'm thankful for the Oregon Ducks too and the sun. So there we go.
And the Phoenix Suns, is that what you said?
No, the sun. Mike, what do you got for me?
I'm grateful for the time I got to spend with Bree this last weekend. We drove
like a fun
out
trip.
to Cheney.
Yeah.
It's called Cheney, not Cheney, to tour Eastern Washington University. And I don't know if that's going to be the school she goes to.
Really?
Cheney there's not a lot to do there. We asked the tour guide, and she's like, we have a bowling alley. I'm like, okay.
What
then
school
we're like,
was it?
Eastern Washington, where the Super Bowl MVP went. Cooper Kupp.
Right. Cooper Kupp.
Yep.
From
and
Ewu.
somebody I went to high school with, Michael Ruse, who played for the Titans.
Oh, he was. Well, it's Ruse Field.
Yeah, the field's named after him.
Wow.
Did you know him?
No, I know his brother, Martin.
They're from like Australia or something, aren't they?
No, they're from
New Zealand
they're Eastern European.
Oh, really?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, okay.
I'm not sure what country, but yeah. So it was a great trip. Bree thanked me afterwards. She said she had a lot of fun, and
Awesome.
Just the two of you?
yep, just the two of us. We drove out on, I think it was Thursday. We toured on Friday, and then later that day we drove out to Coeur d'Alene and had some dinner on top of the lake. So they have a floating restaurant out there.
Really?
And the next day we got up and drove across the state to Seattle and surprised Michelle and her family at Cirque du Soleil. We saw I forget what it's called, Algiers or Algeria or something like that.
Really?
That's nice.
So, and then stayed over and went to dinner at Buca di Beppo, something like that, some
I love
Italian
that
place
place.
downtown. It's so fucking expensive.
Never been there before. I'm just lying.
It's so fucking expensive, and the food's not that great.
Really?
Yeah, no, it wasn't that good. And then we drove over to Bainbridge and stayed there at one of Michelle's sister's husband's mom's house.
Michelle's
Carry the
sister's
two.
husband.
For,
Her brother-in-law's mom's house.
There you go.
You
Yeah.
could have just said that.
Wait.
The monkey uncle's
Yeah,
sister's uncle, you know.
Exactly.
Yeah. So we stayed there, and then the bedroom we were in, we looked out the window, and dude, it was so amazing. You see Puget Sound.
Damn.
Looking across at downtown Seattle, you have all the lights, everything's lit up. The football field, the baseball field, the Space Needle. It was a gorgeous sight to look across. And then
Nice house.
it was a 102-year-old house.
No.
Everything around it has been redone.
Yeah.
But the house still worth $2.1 million.
Right, yeah, I was
I'm like,
say,
oh, are you kidding me?
It's on Bainbridge, so.
Yeah. Well, Inslee lives in that same neighborhood.
Does he?
Oh, we should go knock on his door and say, what's up?
Is that the governor's mansion or his
No,
place?
their governor's
That's
mansion is
in
down in Olympia.
Yeah.
So he actually stays more time in Bainbridge than he does in Olympia. Weird.
No, that's.
Yeah.
I'm sure that was his house before he became the governor, wasn't it?
I don't know. Probably. But anyway, and then in the morning we got up and Mount Rainier was just picturesque to the right of the city and saw the cityscape, and then we drove back down, and yeah.
That's a hell of a weekend.
It was a lot.
That's
Dude,
a
it was
lot of
12 and a half mile or 12 and a half hours of driving.
Yeah.
Almost 1,000 miles.
So you did one night, you did Thursday night in Cheney?
Thursday and Friday.
Oh, okay.
And then Saturday night in
Seattle?
Or Bainbridge.
Yeah. And then came home on Sunday?
Mm-hmm.
Nice, man.
Dang, that's a whirlwind. You get back home and you're like, you got to sit back and kind of take it all in.
I think we have a winner for college, though.
Okay. We're gonna pick a hat? You're
Nope,
gonna put a hat?
I'm going to make her do it.
Really?
On the show. I'm going to make her do it.
Should I give her
Okay,
my hat?
No.
What
She
are
does not
the
wanna go-
options?
She'd wipe up her ass with that hat. What?
Wow. what are the options?
Eastern's not out of the question.
Okay.
Eastern feels very much like a community college. The classrooms are only like 25 students big, or the population in the class is only about 25.
That's insane.
So it's pretty small.
Yeah.
But the campus is middle sized, I guess. It's not huge like U of O or UW or anything like that, and definitely not like WSU. But it's Boise State, WSU, and Eastern are the three.
Okay. And have you been to all three of them?
I haven't been to Boise State. She went with my ex to that place.
Okay.
And then I think yesterday she was doing a virtual tour of Montana State.
Oh, okay. Whoa. What does she want to study?
Teaching.
Oh, wow.
She wants to be a high school teacher and help
Really?
change the minds of the youth of America.
You never hear about people wanting to be high school teachers.
I know.
It's always grade school.
No, I would never teach grade. Well, I'd never teach middle school, but grade school I would rather teach high school.
Yeah.
She's super into history, so but she wants to do teaching.
Damn, that's awesome. Good for her.
Wazoo is a very good teaching school. So
It's a very good party school too.
Oh yeah,
But there's nothing
All
out
of
there.
them.
You have cow tipping is your main thing out there.
they get in plenty of trouble.
Yeah. Well, I mean, the thing with like UW or WSU, you have Pullman, and then you have Moscow across the border in Idaho.
Yep.
So I guess we kind of toured University of Idaho. We drove through it, and we're like, "Fuck no," But then,
Kibi Dome.
then when at Eastern, it's only 25 minutes from Spokane, so there's a lot to do in Spokane, but the crime rates are super high. And then she looked at Boise, and Boise's night and day difference.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
Well, in most college towns are small, like Corvallis and even Eugene. But when you get to University of Washington, I mean, you lose yourself there because I spent a lot of time there when Mom had her transplant, and it doesn't have that college vibe. Like I was born in Corvallis. I've been going to Oregon State games since I was knee high to a grasshopper, and that is what I look at as a college town.
Right.
Whereas when you go to Seattle, I mean, you're driving over the bridge, cussing at traffic, and all of a sudden you're just poof.
Oh, you pass the Husky Stadium, and you're like, oh shit, now I got to turn around and sit in traffic for another 30 minutes.
Exactly.
That is a joke, too. The traffic up there is...
Wasn't that bad.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, you got lucky.
Well, we came in on I-90.
Yeah.
Dude, coming out of the mountains, I coasted the whole way, and I was riding my brakes because I was flying down the hill going about 80, 85.
Really?
Wow.
Yeah, on 90. So
I've never done that drive from Spokane.
it's a pretty drive once you get past, I would say, was it Moses Lake?
Mm-hmm.
From Spokane to Moses Lake, boring as hell.
Yeah, straight.
Oh, yeah. And there's nothing. Just rolling fields.
Damn.
Well, for me, I'm feeling grateful for my son being in, my youngest in driver's ed, and our teacher. So my oldest son went through the same school, Confident Driving, and we knew that the instructor, very blunt, very on top of everything. We did the orientation on Monday, and he led it off with, "This is my first class back since my son died in a car accident 16 months ago, and I told him he was going to die in a car accident." That's how he
must
led
be
it
doing
off.
Confident.
Yep, David.
Yep.
I appreciate that. I mean, not that he let it off like that, and we're all kind of like, damn. But his son was a notoriously bad driver, evidently. But they hold the students and the parents so accountable to create a good driver that, I mean, we were sitting there and all the parents are supposed to be on as well. And they say, okay, we need to see you from your shoulders up. The assistant lady hops on and says, I've counted 7 parents that are looking at their phone right now. Parents that don't take this seriously are the ones who have kids that don't take this seriously. So please, I was like, oh, yeah, that's what I like to hear.
Damn.
But
Maddie just graduated from there, I guess you could say.
Yeah.
She doesn't have her license yet, but it was a great school.
yeah, I was very happy with David and confident when we did it the first time 5 years ago or whatever. And
Hopefully you signed up for the discount.
I don't know.
You get a family discount if you've been through it before.
I put it in there. I don't know if I did or not.
Yeah.
But anyway, so I'm blessed because I want somebody to hold my son accountable to be a good driver, because it's so very important to me to make sure that he is paying attention, knows the rules of the road, and regardless of how much it scares me and it actually doesn't scare me to go driving with him, I enjoy it, and I think it's very important that he does a lot of it. So, I mean, he drives everywhere. Just get in.
Yeah, and like speaking of being a good driver, like it's so important just to be paying attention and noticing what the fuck is going on. Like I just seen this
Not
woman
backing
today.
into anything.
Yeah, exactly. Right, just like
Evan.
Yeah,
What?
but
I'm missing something
no,
here.
he's talking about Evan backing into a pole.
Oh, yeah.
But so I'm driving out toward Newburgh today, and I'm just stopped at a light, and I see a bicycle come out from a cross street and like go to turn like into the street or something, and a TriMet bus hit the bicycle.
No way.
Topples over the woman. Topples over the
Drove
bicycle.
over her?
Yeah, it was.
You watched it?
Like I was on the phone with a friend, and I was like, I just screamed. I said, "Oh, like, oh
Damn!
my, yeah!" And he's like, "What'd you hit? What'd you hit?" And I'm like, "No, I just seen a woman get hit like on her bicycle by a TriMet bus."
No shit.
And it
That's
was
a lawsuit and a half.
Oh,
yeah,
that's
but
big time.
it was.
Hopefully she didn't die.
No, she like got up. And,
Oh, she did. Okay.
yeah, like
She brushed herself off like, oh, no big deal.
yeah, she just did one of those.
Uh-huh.
But yeah, it was just fucking scary, man, because it's like shit
Just
can
never know.
change so quick.
I'll kind of say something. Yesterday I almost hit a bicyclist on Milpane.
Really?
And I was turning into where Kohl's is,
Mm-hmm.
but further down by I think it's Bed Bath and Beyond or whatever it is. Kid flying down the sidewalk, did not even fucking see him. I didn't see him until the last second, and I'm almost into the drive, and he comes flying by. Luckily, he was paying attention enough to see that I was going also.
Yeah.
But he wasn't. He was on the sidewalk, and I wasn't looking on the sidewalk for a bike. I was looking on the road for a car,
yeah.
and then I didn't see him until the last second. And luckily, we didn't hit each other. But I got some dirty looks.
God.
It is scary, and it's one of those things that it will be forever emblazoned upon your mind if you ever hit something or have an accident like that. I mean, it really, like PTSD type stuff is very real in car accidents. And sometimes you forget them. I mean, but most of the time it is a very, very traumatic experience, which can cause fear, which is today's topic that we want to dive into. And I wrote a piece for ManVsMood and posted it earlier today, but we wanted to look at how fear plays into our mental health, what it looks like in our life, and then how we kind of look at society as a whole and the relationship that they have with fear. And I think that to lead that off, the society part, the amount of fear that society has is directly correlated to the rise of social media. If we looked at a graph of the use of social media and how much fear we have, I bet you they'll probably run in tandem. But for each of us, what does the role of fear play in your life, Mike?
For me, I have been paying attention to the news a lot more. I've been going to a different site. I don't listen to CNN or Fox NBC or NBC or anything like that. I've been looking at Al Jazeera, which they're more of a neutral kind of base.
Ish.
But just seeing what's happening over in Ukraine and how Russia is just fucking destroying civilian population angers me to no end. And I'm like, when is our government going to actually step up and do something? Not that I want to have boots on the ground, but
We've done quite a bit.
But sanctions are not going to stop them from doing this.
Well, but the
they have a
reason that we're
madman
still
running that country.
Oh, absolutely. But the only reason that Ukraine is still in this is because of the weaponry that we and the other NATO nations have sent them.
Yeah.
But we don't want to be in World War III.
So, yeah, I know that. But like the fear of what's going to happen, are we going to go to a nuclear war? What's going to happen to our kids? You know, I met with Jerry today, and Jerry, I meet with him every Wednesday. And I was like, you know, the shitty thing is our generation. So his generation, he's more of a baby boomer, tail end. You know, we're Gen X or Z or whatever. Yep. And, you know, we're not going to have to deal with the fallout from this compared to what our kids and our grandkids and our, you know, great grandkids are going to have to deal with. So for me, the fear is more, what are we leaving behind? And how can we really change that? And do we as individuals have much play in any of that? You know, we can only control what we can control. We can't control government entities. You can say all day long, oh, you can control with your vote. And that's bullshit.
It is bullshit.
But, you know, that's where, just on a media perspective, a lot of that, if I look at it as more like work-wise, I've taught a class before, and I mean, the physical fear that I felt from it.
From actually like standing up in front of people?
Oh, yeah. And it wasn't even that huge of a class, like 35 people. But I hadn't been doing podcasting. I haven't been doing any live video, anything like that. So I wasn't used to talking in front of a lot of people. I remember in speech class when I was in high school, I was just like, I'm not going to fucking do this. You know, I'm standing in front of people and I can feel the color or the heat rise in my body and my face turn red. And I'm just like freezing up and want to bail. You know, I just wanted to go. And so
run out the door.
Yeah, that all kind of happened when I was teaching this class on how to sell your house in today's market. And I was just like, I had to fight that to stay in there and be like, okay, bye. You know, instead of bailing out all these people.
Yeah, and that's a very common thing. I am very comfortable speaking in front of large groups, and I've done it many times. And I've had people ask me to do it for them because they're not comfortable. And then they ask me, how do you do it? And I said, I just did it. It wasn't like I got up there and was like all of a sudden, hey, I'm just great at this, not that I'm great at it, but that I enjoy it I'm nervous as fuck. But it was that ability to harness that and then go from there. And like I said, it's not that I'm some great orator, but the fear of standing up there, especially when you're like I had to give a speech to a whole bunch of Rotary members one time, and I was like 21 or 22, and they're all rich and all that, and I just had to swallow it all. I had to go give like a 15-minute talk on this leadership conference I went to. It was great, but yeah, it really does. It puckers you up, and the only way to get over it is to continue doing more of it. It's the same thing with this. The only way you get better at it is just you spend time in the box.
Yeah, listening to the first podcast you and I did before anybody else came on board, I was like, oh man, I sound like a fucking moron, you know. And now I still sound like a moron, but you know, at least it flows a little bit better. Yes. So,
well, and it's you become more comfortable with yourself. And
you look past the microphone. Now you look at each other, and we have headphones on, and we have the microphone in our face, but you look kind of past all that, and you're still just having a conversation.
It's an apparatus to the discussion, and that's the way I look at it. Gary, what does fear look like in your life, and what's your relationship with it?
The concept of fear, I think something is kind of funny. You know, I mean, you can use it like as motivation, or you can use it, you know, like as like a crutch to keep yourself in the house, to keep yourself away from, you know, somebody that might look different, you know, or just to kind of keep yourself occupied, you know, thinking what you might think. And I think, you know, for me, like I'm I'm out, and I'm driving around Portland all the time, and like if you watch the news, your concept, will probably be that,
it's a war zone.
It's a fucking war zone.
It's like Kiev right now.
Yeah. And, I'm just sitting here and I'm just like, it's bad, but I mean, like you can go outside and walk to the store and do all these things and you're not going to get, you're not going to get fucking attacked or like killed or whatever. And I just think that, if fear, is something that is your sole, motivator or something that you're preoccupied by, it can really be like a complete mind fuck depending on how it's used.
And I think that we have found a lot of people today using it as their crutch. That, I can't do this, I can't, it has put them into a negative mentality because you just kind of hit the trifecta there. You hit fear of something looking different, fear of something happening to me, and then just fear of the unknown, which, that's the infinite. I don't know what's going to happen. Well, that's kind of, it could be either exhilarating, which is the way I look at it, or it could literally put you into a trance and make you agoraphobic where you won't leave the house.
Right.
I think right now, though, we're along the lines of what you're talking about with Ukraine. I think that we're seeing people coalesce a little bit, and I think that is a very good thing. We have something to rally around, and that is something that we have. And there's a whole bunch of studies into why society has slipped to this point, because we haven't had a common thing to root against. In World War I and World War II, we had our adversaries. Then we've had a long time of peace and not had something to look at and say, we need to work against that. And so what happened is we started working against each other, competing against ourselves because we didn't have a common enemy. Well, now we have a common enemy again. And I think that could really bring us back together to a degree. Not that this is a good thing, not at all, but war never is. But if we can come together and fight off this division that has been sown into the United States, then I think that is a silver lining to a really, really shitty situation. For me, I have a love-hate relationship with fear. I have had a lot of fear in my life, not in, like I took that part out. But not a fear of like, I'm going to get beat up, even though I've been picked on and bullied mercilessly in my life. That has never been something that I was fearful of. I have a bad relationship in regards to my people-pleasing habits that I had, letting people down, not coming through. But part of the problem is when you're a people pleaser, you're not doing it for the right reasons. So it's like this vicious circle. And I would also have like goofy things, like being in the woods in the dark when I was a lot younger. Now I love it. I'm not shitting you. You just because when I was a kid, my uncles would take me out in the middle of this fucking cornfield down in Kaiser at my grandparents' house and just fucking leave me there. And we would
sound like they're almost Gary's uncle,
right? No, they were joking around, and
I actually,
it wasn't in a menacing way, but it caused me in this big filbert orchard, and of course we told ghost stories and all that, so it kind of fucked me up for a while. But it was now I lean into it. I like fear, and I'm learning to really try to harness it so that when I am afraid of something, I can overcome that. Now, have I completely mastered it? Absolutely not. Long ways away from it. But compared to where I was, say, 2 years ago or 10 years ago, I'm a hell of a lot better off. But it's that initial response and it's kind of mixed with anxiety, where you go, oh shit, you're like, am I in trouble? And that's another one, like along with the people pleasing is, did I do something wrong? And are they going to be mad at me or something like that? That's where fear really has had domain in my life. And it's kind of weird that when you're picked on and bullied, I was never afraid of that kind of thing. Gary, for you, Mike hit your uncle just a minute ago. What was your relationship with fear like as a kid?
Oh, I mean, fear was something that I honestly didn't want like any part of, because fear came with some sort of like, just extreme extreme anger, some sort of fighting and screaming and something like that. It was going to be me picking up some sort of object and going to town.
Really?
And it was just scary, and it's crazy. Like, it's funny, since we've been doing this show, like, I've learned so much about myself, doing the Enneagram test and stuff like that, and figuring out what number are we, and just seeing that I'm a peacemaker. And it's funny because I look back, like I'm adolescence and my younger years or whatever, and like I noticed that because of fear, like I really wanted to fit in and stuff like that. Like I really wanted to, be part of the club or whatever. And like, I didn't want to be, so much of like an outsider. So I would just go along with what people were doing because of fear, because I didn't want to be talked about or left out or whatever. So I was doing stupid shit with these people, getting in trouble or almost getting in a lot of trouble. And then just thinking to myself, like, why the fuck am I doing this?
All because you want to fit in, and you're afraid of them saying something to you or looking down on you or something like that. What about with the family? Uncle, did you ever have any physical fears of that kind of stuff, or was it just knuckle up and let's rock?
Oh, definitely. I mean, yeah, it was definitely, physical fears. And so, yeah, I mean, it was just, things, such as, how's he going to wake me up today? Is he going to throw something at me? Is he going to take my pillow and hit me with it? Like, is he going to put a lock in a sock or something like that? Like, how are we going to do this today? And fear was always something that scared me, like, as a child, but I think now it's more of a motivator, and like I've used it more as like a fuel just to get me going as well.
That and pettiness.
Yeah, sweatiness. Yeah.
Yeah, sweaty.
Sweatiness, sweaty, petty, and
looking a little sweaty today.
I am sweaty.
Mike, what about you? Because a lot of this stuff, when we're kids, that's where we learn these types of responses to the fear, and you have talked about in the past locking yourself in the room and things like that. Was that a response? I mean, a fear response?
I would say yes, it probably was. If I were to classify it, I would say it's more of an escape, that I didn't want to be around, the verbal abuse and stuff. I would say more around that time, I was really unsure of myself and who I was as a kid growing up. And more of my fear was being accepted for who I was. And
really?
Did I have enough or did I have what it took? And was I enough for this world and for, I didn't have those male role models like I've previously spoke about. So the fear of, am I going to grow up and be a fuck up, and I grew up and I did a lot of things wrong and, but I think it has been a motivator because through the whole process, to get to where we are right now or to where I'm at right now, like if I didn't have that fear of, am I going to grow old and die alone because I can't get my shit together? Or am I going to, face that fear and hear like, okay, if you're going to recover from something, it's not like a quick 12 months. You're looking at 5 years. Do I have what it takes to get through that? And if I don't, why?
Yeah.
So kind of like you, Gary, you said as a motivator, I would say it's a motivator for me as well. But there's also things that like I have other fears of, my kids getting in a car accident or, just stupid things sometimes. So I wouldn't always say it's bad to have that fear, because I think fear, like, it can motivate you.
Oh yeah, it keeps you aware. I think that above anything, it makes your heightened awareness for making sure your kids are safe, or that you need to overcome this challenge, and it helps you keep yourself accountable for that as well. It really, as long as you have accepted that you need to work on that.
Well, and I accept that I'm not an unflawed person.
Yeah.
And I've accepted that I'm a flawed person, and I've embraced that. And, having a girlfriend that supports me in that, and having you guys and other people and a counselor that, you know, I have someone to talk to and being like, hey, I screwed up in this, instead of being fearful that someone's going to hate me or not love me for who I am. I'm able to face that fear and be like, hey, they do still accept me for who I am.
Yeah.
You know?
And that acceptance is, I mean, it can be like a warm blanket when you're freezing cold, because it's, I mean, as you get down to the human condition, that's what we're looking for, is just
to be loved.
Yeah. Do people love me that are supposed to love me and appreciate me if they're supposed to appreciate me? Not supposed to, but you understand what I'm saying. Your friends and family and whatnot. It's a place, though, that, like, for me, because when I would, whether it was people pleasing or whatnot, I was always afraid of confrontation was a big issue for me. That goes, again, right hand in hand with people pleasing, and it was confrontation of other people, not necessarily me. When I would go to my dad's in Alaska, I would sit there and take a shower. We would come back from fishing on a Sunday, and it would happen almost every Sunday that we did this. I would go take a shower, and my dad and stepmom would get in a fucking knockdown, drag-out fight. Yeah. And I could hear it. You know, you're taking a shower, and all of a sudden, whether it was a door slammed or yelling, I mean, it's like, how the fuck do you guys do this? I mean, it was like 2 minutes ago I was out there, and you might not have been talking, but you weren't screaming at each other. And then I get in there, and I'm halfway lathered up, and it's just World War III out there. And I remember having that, I mean, just this visceral response to hearing them fight. I just drove me nuts. I do not, to this day. Like I was talking to somebody the other day, I didn't watch the series Breaking Bad because, not that it wasn't interesting, but I hate seeing people, A, in confrontation, but B, hurting themselves and doing things that will hurt themselves. You know what I mean? I struggle with that.
You know, and when, as you say that, it's like, that's majority of where a lot of people's vices and addictions come from, is they're fearful of either themselves or their rejection, or, you know what I mean?
Yep. They turn to that for that warm blanket, that we talked about,
or escape.
Yeah, they're not getting that in the right healthy places, whether that's from the family or friends or a spouse or whatever it might be. When do you think you realized that fear was a good thing that you could harness, Gary? Because we've all three of us said that we are using it to help ourselves as a launching pad forward. Do you think it's something new, or as a kid, or maybe as a young adult?
So I'd say that I started to use it like as a positive thing probably when I was in college, because I feel like once my environment changed, like once I got away from the family that I grew up with more, you know, I started to see that, you know, so I could use this to put a battery in my back to make me work harder and stuff like that. And I mean, for me, like, I think like in college too, like that's when I started to realize that I love to play like on the road, because the crowd was always talking shit, and I'd be like, I love this. Like, really? Talk more to me. Like, you know, say I have freckles and I'm light skinned and I look like Homer Simpson or whatever. Like, I don't care. I need that. And it got to the point to where I would use that like in my relationships too. You know, like if things were going too well, like it like almost felt weird because I was so, you know, used to like a traumatic environment.
How did you battle that? That is very poignant that you said that.
Yeah.
How did you realize that was when you're kind of like Ricky Bobby's dad, when he just has to fuck something up to make it feel normal again?
Right.
I'm going to get to you in just a second about that, but
yeah, I didn't do a good fucking job, because I would do something stupid to, you know, draw like attention to myself and make sure, you know, that this person appreciates me, you know, because at one point I had all these people around me saying that, you know, you you really don't know if a girl loves you, you know, if you don't do something to her and she comes back.
Shit tests.
Yeah,
type thing.
yeah. And now, you know, like I look back at that and I'm like, that's such a
Cop out.
yeah, it's such a cop out. It's such a stupid way of thinking.
Yeah.
But when you're in this environment, you know, when you're all just throwing shit at the wall and you're all saying, this is a good idea, this is a good idea, this is a good idea. They all sound like good ideas, you know, but then, you know, I got older and I started, you know, doing therapy and reading books and being around positive people and stuff like that. And it's a complete 180 or 360 or whatever you want to call it. And it's like, I feel so much better. I'm doing so much better and I want to help more and stuff like that.
That's so amazing that you recognized